Hi there, it's Wednesday the 13th of January 2021. Got it right this time. And we're looking at the letter to the Ephesians in the Bible, where Paul wrote to his friends in Ephesus 7 years after visiting them. And he wrote this letter to them because there had been a bit of falling out and division between the Jewish Christians and the Gentile Christians. And he was calling them to live together in unity. And he starts in the first 3 chapters by outlining the gospel story, the gospel message, gospel meaning good news, of course. And he writes this good news message. He reminds the Ephesian Christians that there is a great message from God, that God sent his only son Jesus to come into the world to show us how to live a perfect life, to die on a cross for our sins, to rise from the dead, and if we will believe in him, put our trust and faith in him, give our life to him, then he will come and live within us by his Spirit and enable us to live the life that we all want to live. And that is the gospel story. It's the good news which every Christian has a responsibility of sharing as many times as we can to as many people as we can. And if you're not doing that, then you know you should be doing that. Your conscience will tell you that. And you know, people are looking for good news today. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed. Don't be frightened to tell people about Jesus, because people want hope. They want to hear good news. Goodness, don't we need good news in our world today? What greater news is there than God is real, than he loves his people, than he loves all people, and he wants all people to come into relationship with him through Jesus. That's great news for people, that there is hope, not just for this world, but for the world to come. And that's an amazing thing. Paul once wrote, and he said, you know, for me to live is Christ. It's about living for Jesus. He's the purpose in my life. But to die is gain. If I die, I'm going to be with Jesus forever in heaven. So I'm going to gain. So whether I live or die, it's all good. It's a win-win for Paul. And for those of us who are Christians and believers, living or dying doesn't matter. It's a win-win either way. It's a wonderful, wonderful hope that we have, that we can bring to people who need hope, don't they? So how can you tell the gospel story? What is the gospel story? Can you put it into words, just as I've done there? Just very, very briefly. Sometimes we don't have very long to speak to people. Maybe just a minute or two. Maybe even just standing waiting for the bus, even standing in a long queue at the supermarket or the bank or wherever or whoever. Of course, more difficult now that you're 2 meters apart. But it's still going to be possible. There's still going to be opportunities. What would you say? What would you tell people if you could just do that? Why not practice that? Why not even just get a mirror or get your phone and record yourself and just say, right, okay, 30 seconds, what would I say to somebody about the hope that I have in Jesus? Because there is this story that you can tell, because you know it. If you're a Christian, you know what the gospel story is. It's already affected your life, so you can tell that, can't you? What part of the story do you think might be of most interest to people today? What would people really latch hold of? Well, for me, I think it's probably hope. That would be one thing. I think people are looking for hope. Perhaps people are looking for purpose. That's a great way to talk to people about Jesus, is about purpose in life. Maybe people have had more time to think about their lives while they've been at home, while there's not been other activities going on, while the pace of life for many has slowed down. Of course, for others, it has got even more busy. But for some, it's slowed down, more time to think, maybe more time to reflect in life. Maybe people feeling a bit guilty about some of the choices that they've made in life. Maybe feeling the need for forgiveness. There's another way that we can talk to people about the forgiveness that can come through God, that only God can truly forgive. What about peace? Maybe people feeling fearful and needing some peace and some quiet. There's another great way that we can talk to people about Jesus, about the peace that Jesus can bring, because he can do that. Just as he was on the boat and told the wind and the waves and the storm to be quiet, and it was quiet, he can do that to our thoughts, to our anxious thoughts, to our fears, and he can just say, shh, quiet, be still. So these are some ways in which we can connect with people as we share the gospel story. So get that gospel story in your heart, get it in your mind, get it on your lips, and look for opportunities to share that over the phone, in person, writing a card, sending a text. You can do it in so many different ways. And let's get the gospel story out to everyone who needs to hear it. God bless you. Speak to you again tomorrow.